Get ready, everybody. Ooh, can I get my gavel? So important. Well, welcome to the February 2nd, 2024 Omaha Astronomical Society meeting. I hope you.
There you go.
Welcome to the February 2nd, 2024 Omaha Astronomical Society meeting. Yes, it is Groundhog Day here in our fair country. I hope you all had a chance to experience the nice weather we had today. I personally didn't wear a coat for the colder weather that came this evening. So we'll see how things go when I leave tonight. So my name is John Larson. I'm the president of the OAS. If you're on Zoom and you have headphones, everybody knows this, right? Raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Eric.
Hi, everybody.
Do we have any guests with us this evening? Wait a minute, you're a member though.
Oh, well, yeah.
But you can introduce yourself being here for the first time.
Chris Pantuso from San Antonio, Texas.
I bet you love this weather.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Tell us about yourselves.
This is my mom. I just brought her. I just became a member a couple days ago, so
Oh, great, welcome.
I don't know the doc over there, so.
Oh, cool. Welcome, find a seat. Hi. This your first time here?
Well, yeah, it's been a couple years.
Okay.
It's their first time.
Oh, well, welcome aboard.
We got you.
What's your name?
Jesse.
Jesse?
I'm Patrice,
Patrice?
Jaden, and Aiden.
Hi, Jaden and Aiden. So how did you get, just mom?
Yes.
You're everyone's mom now.
Hi, Mom.
Welcome. Can we do ice cream when we're done? I kid, of course. Yes.
My name is Todd Lemon. I'm a member. This is my first meeting.
Well, welcome.
Yeah.
So I'll just ask, how did you hear about us? Okay,
Well, I heard about you a while ago, but
uh-huh.
I didn't know what all to do to get in, so. And she told me about it, so yeah.
Well, but luckily we got the door stopped, so let's get in tonight. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Apologies. Website, oh, you said you knew about us before, right?
Yeah, well, my dad, he bought a telescope some years ago, and then I looked online to, if we could get any help on how to use it, and you guys popped up. So we had a few meetings, and he moved to Texas, but now my kids are very interested in it, so
Well,
here we
cool.
are.
Awesome. And yourself?
I actually don't remember how long it's been that since I first heard about the OAS. But I got interested enough in passing information along to my grandchildren.
Nice.
I tie into a source with better information than, yeah, that's a bell.
Remember stars.
Well, the club had its 60th anniversary in 2022. So now this is our 62nd year, isn't it? Oh. Well, for those of you who are yet to be members or are members, I'll remind everyone that everybody who's an OAS member is also a member of the Astronomical League, and you'll get the quarterly newsletter magazine, The Reflector. You have access to Astro Park, our observing site in Weeping Water, Nebraska. There were some people down there earlier this week. We have a great telescope loan program, so you can try out a telescope by borrowing it. So you can see different types of telescopes, see which one's the best for you. We do have our monthly newsletter, The Stella, which has a lot of information And we have a Discord server for folks to interact, and members can vote on motions during the business meeting. A few upcoming important dates. There's a Astro Park Workday, April 13th. The Mid-States region of the Astronomical League is coming up this June, followed by the Astronomical League's convention Alcon in July, and then Nebraska Star Party in July, first part of August.
Your calendar doesn't have the cleanup listed, does it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Calendar does not have the cleanup listed.
I don't think so. I'll have to double check.
I just filled out all the calendar. today.
Okay,
Yes, the version of the calendar I put in the newsletter did not have the cleanup day on it.
oh, okay. Yep,
Hey, John,
yes, sir.
what time is number one?
Oh, sunset would be probably around 6. Yeah,
You don't want me to show up at 2?
no,
You can if you want.
Yeah.
yeah, you can do solar observing,
Stay there.
but we'll talk about astronomy parks in the outreach component coming up.
Guys.
Speaking of Misrule, if you did not know, the Omaha Astronomical Society is hosting the Mid-States region of the Astronomical League's conference this June at Mahoney State Park. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Lodge. The tickets to register are now live. So we can see if I can find this real quick. I could have sworn that I had it on there. There's the website. So that little link will take you there, and it talks about the event, where and when, the venue, and this lodging mostly for people who are coming from out of town, so you probably don't have to worry about that. But if you're going to come, make sure you have your Nebraska State Park Pass so that you can get into the park easily. But it's gonna be pretty cool. I cannot wait. You didn't know that?
Talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I still have to renew my pass.
you have to renew your pass, oh, park pass. You know, you can do that in town, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can somebody remind us where that is in town?
So 84th and,
Stelco used to be.
Across from Mangelson's?
Across from Magnuson.
Something like that.
Yep.
They have an office there.
Oh, I know where the birds used to be.
Yeah, but it's right next to the rock place.
Next to.
Because of the
Popcorn
gyms.
place where-
We hope you will be there. There is a groups IO thing. It's more like a mailing list message board for the Mid-States region. That's in there. OAS is also a member of the Night Sky Network, so we're trying to keep this updated. It's not always easy to do so many updates.
I like that. That was.
Somebody got their phone on.
I went on mute, I apologize.
Oh, okay.
Special effects.
I'm not sure if we had any guests remotely, did we?
They won't volunteer if there is.
Okay, and there is a fan shop where you can get OAS swag like this shirt I'm wearing, or that hoodies, or that sweatshirt over there, or that hoodie right there.
What is the night sky thing?
It's run by JPL, and it's like a collection of various astronomy clubs.
Power off.
And they have speakers and some other things.
Connection successful.
Awesome. And then,
Mark.
some clubs use it to do all their calendar components. But we don't want to have to maintain 3 or 4 different calendars, so we don't use that component of it. We just use the one that we put on the website. Let's see, anybody in this room use Astro Park? How about online? Anybody? There's Cassie, I know you were there.
Yes, Brian and I were there this Wednesday.
Nice. I saw your pictures, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, everything looks pretty good. Pads are good, grass are good. It's just there a patch of snow, like literally at the gate, so you do actually have to drive pretty carefully through that area. But other than that, everything is pretty awesome.
Sweet.
How was the last curve?
How was the last curve?
The big one.
Oh, where you
Into.
turn into the park?
That one is actually fine.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the one we worry about the most, just from a getting wet and sloughing off.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get stuck down there if it's too wet, I would be worried. Thanks, Cassie.
No problem.
There are no awards tonight. Oh. Observing chair. Need to find your presentation. There it is.
Oh, that's the. I'll probably wait.
So February brings hopefully better skies and better weather. But if you've been watching the sky, it's not been cloudy, Jupiter looks great. You can still see Saturn in the first half of the month. It reaches its secure conjunction on the
Anymore online either.
I
Now we
muted
hear
the
it.
ceiling mic,
Yeah.
Now we hear it.
Pick up.
so it muted that one too.
Should.
Aren't they on the same?
Okay,
Uh-uh.
check 1, 2, 1, 2. 7, 8, 9.
Now I got it.
Okay, we better not use the ceiling mic cut then. That's weird. Apologies, everybody, if you couldn't hear that.
So one thing not mentioned is the fact that in about 60 days, we have the full eclipse.
The solar eclipse, yes, coming up April 8th. Yep,
People who want to prepare.
true. You should be planning your solar eclipse trips. I know a lot of organizations around town will usually call us and ask us to do something for the eclipse. And most of us want to be out of town and we won't be here, but we don't try to commit to some of those things.
Speaking of which, our meeting is supposed to be on April 5th.
Yep, the weekend of,
Right.
yes.
Drive fast to where you're going.
So
Friday.
if I'm leaving, I'm probably leaving Sunday.
I'm leaving Friday.
You're leaving Friday?
I will be out of.
I'm gonna go
town, so
fishing
I'll be
first.
somewhere else.
Is the eclipse on Monday?
It's on a Monday.
Where's everybody going?
Monday's the eclipse. So that's the 8th. Yep. Well, it might just be me here.
We'll see.
I'll be here.
We'll be here.
Others of us will be here.
He don't go nowhere. He'll be here.
Outreach co-chairs. Okay, there's gonna be a couple events coming up, but guess what? let's see. That's not it. Hey, look at that.
And John's also aligned.
All right, hello everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there with you this evening, but I will give you a quick rundown of our events for the month of February. Just 3 going on this month. First off, at Lake Zurinsky on Tuesday the 13th, we have Astronomy in the Park. And with the recent clear skies, there's a chance that this one might actually happen. So look for look at the forecast, and if it's clear, then we'll definitely be out there starting around sunset. That same week on Friday, we have, that's the 16th, we have an event at Neil Woods. It's the first of our series of 4 events that we're doing there this year. It's a new thing, a new partnership with them, where they're hoping to do this every year, to have 4 events out there quarterly. So we'll have this one starting around 6:30 for setup, and then guests arrive at 7. From 7 to 9 is the star party schedule. We will know a little bit in advance how many we're expecting to have based on how many they have registered for the event. And this was hopefully become a good thing to have and to continue. I think the rest of them are in May, August, and November. And then the last event is the same week again. It's that Saturday. That'll be the 17th from 11 to 3 at Oakview Mall. We will have an aviation STEM event, Aviation STEMaha, and it'll just be an indoor mostly event, but if the skies allow, then we'll set up a solar telescope or 2 outside, have the gravity buckets and our usual handouts to kind of engage. It's geared towards kids. I think 8 to 17 is their target audience, but obviously there'll be, whoever's at the mall that day, there'll be people around. So definitely use some volunteers to help out with that. If you want to come for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, that would be great. And both of the Friday and Saturday events are both on the OAS volunteer outreach sign up sheet that hopefully John will link somewhere here shortly after this. Thank you very much.
I'd like to remind for people who volunteer for these outreach events, you can use them for time for your award. So you can keep track of that and use those hours for your Astronomical League awards for outreach.
There's the link to that form. I don't want to go too fast. Or you could probably also email outreach@omahaastro.com and they'll get the message. Telescope and binocular loan program. Now I sync this up with the Stella. So I need to come to you with the mic if you want me to.
How did we get 2 20 by 80 binoculars in there?
Because there are 2. I thought Motorson brought another pair.
Well, anyway, one of them is checked. Yes, we were just discussing the availability, or at least we think, of 2 20 by 80 binoculars. Anyway, one of them is checked out, so there's only one of it that really exists. Between the time that I have to submit things to the Stella and now, we actually did have some activity. The silver 6-inch Dobsonian got checked out last week. 11 by 80 binoculars are back. And as I mentioned earlier, one pair of the 20 by 80s is out in the loader department. I have 2 requests. One, there's been kind of a long-standing one for the 11 by 80 binoculars, but I haven't heard from the individual. And I have one for the Coronado Solar Scope, which I think will be going out pretty shortly now that the weather has improved. And that's about it for Scope Loan this month.
Thank you, Stafford. In reach. I'm gonna try to stick that right.
You can check out a telescope for months.
Okay, so,
Yeah, a week from tonight, we'll have our Cosmic Bowling event for members. Starts at 9:30. It's at the there it is, West Lanes Bowling. It's off of 72nd and Dodge. $6 a game, $4 for shoe rental, so hope you guys can make it there. Should be fun. And as always, we have our social channel on Discord. You can always chime in with impromptu events to invite people to. That's always cool too.
So they turn off the lights in the bowling alley, right? And then they have mood lighting, so
They used to have glow-in-the-dark balls.
they might have that too. Because we're all amateur astronomers. I mean, we don't have white flashlights, we have red flashlights.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Because then people be, what are those guys doing?
Green lights.
Green laser pointers. Yes, Stafford.
John, a minor update to the scope loan. The ETX LX is actually checked out. Somewhere we got the conventional 8-inch Schmidt crossed with the ETX.
Oh, okay.
So not a biggie, but it's worth noting.
Okay, cool. Oh, look, a new slide. OAS librarian. This position has been vacant for some time. And now we have an OAS librarian again. Austin Kutcher, please stand up. Oh, he's got a whole bunch of stuff written on a pad. Is it time for me to sit down too?
No, it's a few ideas.
Oh, it's a rocket book.
Actually, the first time I heard that I'm actually getting the library position, so.
Congratulations.
Talked about it, but, not officially. Anyway, I did have a few ideas, kind of to go into the librarian position. Obviously, we think of books and physical media. Apparently, we haven't found a lot of what OAS has in the past.
Correct.
So looks like we're kind of starting from.
There's a locker at the Allen's house.
Is there?
Yeah, I took it over there.
Okay.
Okay, so there might be some physical books and whatnot that we do
There
have.
should be some books. There's a trunk full of documents from NASA and all that stuff
Cool.
Where is that stuff?
Hmm?
At Jody Allen's house.
at Jody's,
I'll
George.
talk to you guys.
Talk to you about it.
You talk over. All right, so, well, that's good, that I would expect us to have something out there, so. But really the discussion on Discord that kind of made me think, hey, why don't we have a librarian or some kind of organization to this is. I guess me and Andrew and a couple other people on the new Citizen Science Discord channel, we're talking about all these books we have that are just sitting on our shelves. And maybe we can interloan them to other people in the club. A lot of those wouldn't be at a regular library, so that's kind of where this whole kind of started at, so. We also have the online resources on our existing website. I was thinking maybe I could take some initiative and think of new online resources to put on there, new links. Possibly consider professional journals that we could give members access to. We're talking about NASA papers, you know, all kinds of things that maybe are more on the professional side of things that we can get to our members. It's also thinking about encouraging and supporting members in conducting research projects or participating in citizen science initiatives. A lot of that comes with getting the right information in front of you so that you can do something useful with it. So another idea, facilitating mentorship programs. We've got a lot of new members all the time. There's a lot of seasoned astronomers in this room, and maybe we just link people up and that would help facilitate learning a little quicker. So one last idea I wrote down here was organizing book, documentary or other resource discussions, kind of like a book club, probably in Discord or something along those lines. So those are just a few ideas I wrote down. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are several journals that are moving to open access. And so I'll take you those and you can,
Yes.
Question, is that a email we're gonna add now an OAS librarian? Like we have.
Yeah, I need to do that. Thank you for the reminder.
We can email them directly for something specific.
So that would be a good one.
John Johnson online said we need to make a concentrated effort to collect older copies of the Stella 2, which should be scanned and made available to all members. So he has
Yes.
paper copies and digital files going back to 62.
1962.
Oh, yeah.
Austin, sounds like you got a project there.
I was just talking, sorry, what was the new product?
John Johnson put in the chat about making a concerted effort to collect older copies of the Stella. Cause he says he has copies in digital files going back to 62.
Excellent. There you go.
So I know that right now on the website, we go back to 2000, but it's not complete years, the older it gets. So we are missing kind of a chunk of our history in that. So hopefully we can kind of rebuild some of it. Program chair, Jordan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to all the guests. Let me do a quick intro. My name is Jordan. I'm the program chair / coordinator for the OAS, which means that every month at our meetings, we have programs that go on, whether they are given by members within the group, or I found someone online or tried to invite someone in from around the US or around the world to give a presentation. So these topics kind of range from anything and everything to that, covers all of our interests, from astronomy, stargazing, astrophysics, astrophotography, telescopes, outreach, upcoming eclipse events. So it's kind of fun to find these people and get them to come in, and then also hear from everyone here. So in January, I put out the request for everyone in the group to submit their ideas, so we can build a whole year's worth of programs that kind of cover maybe some intro topics for people who are new to this whole thing, and maybe some who need a little bit of a reminder, like me, because I can't remember what I did yesterday. So it's nice to be able to have a little reminder for things, but go from simpler topics to kind of more complex, advanced things. So we kind of cover everything, and I got a lot of responses back. So I really appreciate that for everyone who submitted their responses. And if it's okay, I'm just going to share my screen real quick to kind of show a potential year's worth of programs. And you'll see on here, besides that, make sure I got this. Yes, that's correct. Besides that, you'll see there's two little mini programs under each month. So besides the big program that we would do within the astronomy meetings every month, like tonight, I want to create two extra mini programs a month that are 5 to 10 minutes long. They're just little videos I'm going to put together and narrate and then upload to YouTube. So all of you can go watch these in the interim in between meetings, and kind of, again, just learn a little bit more about this. Try to get some maybe recent or new news in astronomy and physics and put those in there. But this is kind of an overview of what we might be seeing for the year's worth of programs. And if anyone has any feedback, questions, or additional suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. And besides this, I have a few extra things that I didn't fit in here yet, but I'll try to see how to finagle these in here. So most of these are the bolded topics are coming from all of you, and I appreciate that again. And thank you for Mike Motorson for sending me an email on the NASA subject matter expert. We had one come in last year who was from Arizona, and he gave a really cool presentation on I think it was the kind of solar system astronomy that he was working on. And then also thank you to Mike Roble, who has offered to give a presentation as well for affordable astrophotography. I was reading through his program notes that he's already put together, and it's very impressive. So I'm excited to see that later this fall. For the bolded areas that you see here, where there's the highlighted presenter, I'm either still looking for a presenter. So if someone in the group feels like they want to do the program for that month, please reach out to me for that. Otherwise, I will be looking online, social media, universities, research centers around the world to see if I can get in contact with someone who can give us a program on that. So so that's first 10 months. And I'll put this, I don't know how I can send this out to everyone for review, but just so you can see it. But there's also the November, December ones, where December we have our holiday party, so there's not really a program. It's just the drawing of the numbers for the gifts, but I'll still do 2 mini programs that month. And if you take a look through this list, you'll see I've tried to arrange the bolded main programs from kind of more simple, starting from March, going on to more complex, ending with like gravity in the universe, Big Bang stuff, the NASA subject matter, and then Mike Robles' astrophotography, where he kind of really gets into putting together your all your tech machinery and your observational tools for taking good astrophotos. And it's the same for these mini programs, kind of starting out very simple and then eventually getting too complex with, what is it, ending in some topic in astrophysics, the cosmic microwave background. Yeah, so that's what I've got. And that's the year potential, and might be changed around, we'll see. But for tonight's program, I want to thank Sonali for putting together what sounds like a really interesting and eye-opening, even for her, learning experience. I'm really excited to learn about Indian kind of historical cosmology and that heritage that she's very willing to share. So I will let her explain more about that when we get to the actual program for tonight. Any questions before I mute myself or unshare? And another question from myself, how do I go about sharing this document with the group?
We can put it on Discord and you can send it to, if we want to put it in the Stella, we can send it to Steve.
Okay, I will do that. All right, any questions then from anyone or comments?
I have one comment, Jordan. You might want to write tentative.
Yep.
Or you put it in the Stella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan?
Oh, underneath here, like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Can she hear me, John?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the Kalamazoo Club?
Mm-mm.
They did a phenomenal program for rookies like me about where we are in the infinites. I'll send you a link. It's on YouTube. It was incredible.
Okay, thank you.
It was
Yeah.
targeted like an elementary student, so I was able to understand it.
We're all there.
It was phenomenal.
We're all learners, Chris.
Well, me being an Aggie, I'm challenged.
Right. All right, yeah, thank you. Anything else from anyone? I can't see hands up, so just speak up.
No, it looks like we're good.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
See, we had a total time if anybody wanted to discuss it. If not, we'll go into the Tom.
I'm just gonna show that calendar I did in 2009. This is pictures from the Alaska Aurora Borealis. Can you put them up?
Give me a second.
Seconds up, you're late. Talk amongst yourselves.
I don't know how easily this would be to share to people remotely.
It looks really good.
Yeah. Oh, it does share. We do. Thank you. There we go.
There's a little glare, but wow.
There's no.
You can turn the light on.
That's worse. It's just information. Okay, now you need to talk when you do this, so you have to hold it. January, up farther.
Closer to your mouth.
Anyhow, and as you can see, it was on the non-day of February, 2008. Me. I don't know if you can see this too well. No, this is my uncle, this is my nephew, and that's me. We're up at the Arctic Circle. It's minus 85. January. As you can see, I have it out. This was the sunrise and the sunset that day. It come up about here and go down about there. Wow. So news say it's starting to get bright for them. This is how it all started. This house right here, it looked like smoke coming up over the top of it. And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody turned on a green light and it just all started lighting up. There's our fire in the background is what it looks like. As you can see, this is only an 8-second exposure. It was with Mativa. One of the first Sony digitals, fixed lens, but the stars are all pretty points. So I was taking most of these on the hood of a running car. This is no, thank God. The parking lot and the streets up there were 4 foot thick of ice. The people know how to drive up there. They're not like us, crazies. As you can see, the reflection here, this is on the ice, the road and that. But this parking lot we parked in the first night was Junior Dog Sledding Championship Park. They got a 6-mile track. The kids get a run around on with their dogs and that during the day. And at night it was, gorgeous. Just when you're up there and you're underneath the Aurora Borealis, it's all greens and yellows. If you're off the side, like we can see it sometimes, you get the blues and the reds mostly. You see some reds in these. But yeah, it was a experience. At minus 85, it's colder here at minus 10 than it is up there. There was no wind chill and no humidity. Cars driving by, as you can see. But yeah, it was really, they seem like a lot of them are the same, but they're really not. It's just the way it moved. That's the starting of it. The house is right here in the middle. And then it just started up and then boom. And this one here, we're coming back from Coldfoot. And it looks like a tornado. You got another one over here. But if you look, this is the parking lot and the ice in it. And this is mirrored going up to match it. It looks like it's a tornado getting ready to hit the ground. And I put that in the contest to see if I'd get a good picture, but they took the really grainy one that I took from the up there in 05 at the Star Party. But it's just something I put together one year for Christmas presents. And Eric don't remember getting his.
No, I don't.
There you go. So basically, good cameras are better, but this wasn't a great camera and it did pretty good, so. You can do a lot of this if you got anything with a stop to the film. Other than that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Should we take a break for 10 minutes? Would be good.
Excited.
Yeah. We're with us, almost there. Thanks very much. Buddy.
I love science.
I don't.
Greatest university on earth.
But you don't remember. My buddy's in a club that's right next to him.
How many people are starting to speak? She probably don't have to.
Everybody ready?
It was so short.
A couple of smart agent.
Very started. That's the guy that's business. They moved down to Texas. There's a club right next to him. Yeah, I suppose that's, in fact, he said, yeah, he was trying to do all for A&M, it's.
From San Antonio. It's kind of like-
Oh, yeah.
Hey, well, that was good.
That'd be-
Now, that better?
But anyway, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right. But anyway, the point was,
I'll run the show, I'll run the slides.
Yeah.
Can you hear us at home on the Zoom? Yes. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sonali. I've usually done the observing chair part of it, but this has always been something I've been interested in, having grown up in India. You hear of things and you don't really study about them much in school because, when you're trying to cover 5,000 years worth of history, you've got to start somewhere or stop somewhere. But, some things are common. You hear growing up, oh, this is Kali Yuga, and we'll come to what that is. And it started, it's not started. So you hear these little snippets that come down from your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles. And you just grow up with that and you think, okay, this is great. I know something. Till you realize that, no, you really know nothing. So reading into this, as I was telling Tom, and I mentioned to Jordan, led me down multiple rabbit holes, not just one. And every time I read something, I had to relook at it from a different lens. Because most of this literature is in Sanskrit, which I don't read. I mean, I can read Sanskrit, but can I tell you what it means? No. So a lot of translation has been done when these manuscripts were discovered or found, and a lot of translations are in the 1800s or the early 1900s. And some of the references refer back to the same data set. I had to search to find more modern or later literature that actually talks on most of these. What I found is if you read Wikipedia, you get a lot of information, but again, it depends on what the source is. And like any research, you have to see what your source is, verify it, and make sure that what you're reading is not somebody sitting somewhere making stuff up versus someone actually researching this. Some of this literature has been seen through the lens of colonialism. So there's no way that these people knew this before the Greeks did or before the Egyptians did. They just shouldn't be able to do this. So there's been a lot of stuff seen through the colonial lens and therefore denigrated. So that's why some of the studies don't make it to textbooks anywhere or is given recognition. And as I referred to, there are millions of texts and not all of them, or actually just a fraction of them have been even translated. So there's still a body of text that is not translated. A lot has been lost to the ravages of time, plunder, invasion, and destruction. So I thought, I'd deal with one thing. I first started off with the origin of the universe, and I thought then I'll deal with the calendar. And every time I decided something, I realized there's no way that I could give a talk every day and still not cover any of these topics or do it justice. So what I have here today is just little seeds that I want to plant of things that are interesting. And each word of each of these topics can be a whole few hours worth of reading. Trust me, I've spent a lot of nights and evenings doing that. So our first slide, I decided, let's see when does Hindu civilization that we talk about, what is its earliest date? There's a lot of controversy again regarding the time period of this, because one, again, as I said, dating these, some of the scripts are not even deciphered, so they don't know what time this was. The Rig Veda, which is one of the texts, timing that is also difficult. Some of it is lost. The earliest people, it was more of an oral tradition, so it went from being taught from a guru, which is the teacher, to the shishya, which is the student, and is an oral form. And eventually someone somewhere wrote it down. So who knows when it really started? And there is no, in the earlier text, no authorship. So no one says, I wrote it in this year, and these are my thoughts. It was just this amalgamation of people writing this and noting it down. So you don't know who wrote it, when they wrote it. But later as we see in the later centuries, people started saying, this is me writing this. Or the next text says, I am summarizing work from so-and-so who wrote this. And here is my view on this. But the first civilization that they found, that is currently the oldest that they have decided, is the Indus Valley civilization. And this is on the banks of the Indus River, or in ancient texts, there used to be a different river called the Saraswati River, which is mentioned, but currently has dried up. But when we had radar imaging, they found the dry bed of this river. So things that are seen in this Indus Valley civilization, there are multiple sites which are spread across the Indian subcontinent. And since this is, in 3000 BC that we're talking about, it include what is now Pakistan, a little bit of Afghanistan, India, Nepal, and all that whole territory, which is now broken up into all these countries. The earliest sites were Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro and some of the older sites, which are in Gujarat, are also, they think, date back to 6000 or 7000 BC. What they found was this was not just primitive civilization, this was advanced. They had structures which were built out of uniform bricks. They had sanitation and sewage systems. They had metallurgy, they had seals. Some of these seals have also been found in Mesopotamia. They had multi-story homes. They had baths, and they have a uniform system of weights, which are cubes, literally. And there are photos of this too. Their script has still not been deciphered. And there's the link. I think it actually links to Wikipedia, which I'm using mostly for the photographs.
It's sort of bluish.
So if you just click on any one of the photos, and I think you can scroll forward. Yep, that one. So this looks like any, almost modern structure that you would see, but this, remember, this is more than 3000, this is 3000 BC. And these are some of the, either toys or whatever else, these little models that they've made. The next one. And this is the area that is covered by the Indus Valley civilization.
Is that currently where the Euphrates is flowing?
No, that's different.
Okay.
Egypt.
These are just some people who worked on this. Yeah, they divided into early, late, and middle phase, but this is again the region where this exists. And these are some of the older names of the culture too. I think most of these are, yeah. And this is a terracotta boat in the shape of a bull and female figurines. So as you can see, their skills were pretty good. And this was dated to I think almost 2800 BC. Yeah.
Euphrates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the next phase, I think, as time goes. And again, this is another site of a monument. This is currently what is now Pakistan, but again.
City organization.
Yep, they had streets that were, in cardinal directions. That's not random, so it was very, very systematic. This could be any, old building even now.
That could be an example of the sewer.
Yeah.
Is the way it takes
Yeah, it
water
looks
away
like it
from
was
the
shelved or
system.
something.
drainage. Wow.
So I mean, this is what these people were doing, so it's hard to say that they didn't have a concept of knowing more than, what we said. Um, so then there are other scripts and other dynasties that, came much later too. Most of, Ashoka, this is their weight system, this is their weights. As you can see, they have different sizes. I don't know what sizes they are, but. And then they had, vessels, ceremonial vessels, I mean, with intricate designs on them too, all this pottery. And again, more weights. And these were beads. And, I think mostly a toy or some other figurine.
Sand sheep.
Is that sandstone?
I'm not sure what, it's fired steatite. This one is called the Priest King and it's made from fired steatite. And,
Oh, that's more.
That's limestone.
yeah. This is the dancing girl, which is actually something that's, you can see pictures of this pretty commonly.
Bronze.
And these were the seals. They're seals that represent, I think, what the bull, the script is not decipherable, or, we haven't deciphered it yet. We as in experts, not me. This is just another one of the seals.
Don't climb a tree.
Wow.
I think there are multiple pictures of different seals. Basically, think this was the sea route from India to what was the Indus Valley to Mesopotamia. And the second figure at the bottom represents a boat. And this is their characters that they found that they don't know what they mean yet. And, this is a very traditional Indian, auspicious figure, which unfortunately has been, yeah, corrupted. But this is a swastika, which even from ancient times has been a very auspicious symbol in India. So this was that old. It's been around for a long time. Okay, so I think we can move on. This is just to give an idea of what the civilization looked like in at least 3000
Yeah,
BC.
it is a pretty comprehensive article.
Yeah,
There's a question.
yes.
Since they had a system of the weights and measures, I'm assuming they should have had coinage as well, currency as well. You're trading that.
Yeah, they were trading, they found coins. I think seals were the most things that they mentioned. But again, so much has been underground for so long. This is just, I'm just touching like the brief.
Okay.
Just to give you an idea of where we're coming from.
Sure.
So then they also have stone scripts, which I have not put a link to. And then we jump centuries because the next part is, yes, they had enough knowledge that they had universities. There was a University of Takshila, which was 6th century BC, destroyed by the Huns. Nalanda, which is another one, they had literature on dance, music, government, and so on. Brief history, next slide, is Nalanda University was established in the 7th century CE. And we have proof of this not only from, remaining structures, but Chinese scholars used to come here. It was like a residence. They had rooms for people and students from all over the world who knew about this. There were Buddhist scholars who have documented that it was a 9-story building. The Chinese scholar also studied and returned there in China. So we have corroborating literature in other countries from people who visited this. This was destroyed by Bakhtiyar Khilji, a Muslim invader in the 1190s. He destroyed 9 million palm leaf manuscripts and killed all the monks. Next slide. So coming to astronomy, there have been astronomers in India. These are a couple of these that I'm talking about are two of the more well-known. Aryabhat he existed around 499 CE, and he wrote a book or a treatise called the Aryabhatya, from which we have all this information. Now you have to remember, this is before Copernicus and everyone. We're talking of 500 CE. He said the earth revolves around the sun. He also calculated the diameter of the earth, which is actually pretty accurate for what he did at that time with whatever instruments he had. He also worked on the approximation of pi and describes how to do the calculations. He explains solar and lunar eclipses, and then also talks about and provides the computation and the size of the eclipsed part during an eclipse. He described the relative motion of the stars with respect to the earth, and he calculated the sidereal motion. And these are his figures, and which is again pretty accurate for someone calculating this in 500 CE. And he also knew that the moon and planets shine because of the reflected sunlight. This is just as astronomical, a few of the things that he has mentioned, which I summarized. But his contribution to mathematics involved, defining zero, among other things. And if you look up his contribution to mathematics, there's just number of equations and things that he's dealt with. Which brings us to the next person, which is Brahmagupta. He was born after that in 598 CE, and he actually mentions this. That is why we know about this. And what is now Rajasthan in India is where he was born. And he explained that the moon was closer to the earth than the sun. And that the illuminated part of the moon depends on the relative positions of the sun and the moon. And this can be computed from the size of the angle between the two bodies. He also talked about gravity, which I don't think I mentioned here, but he said everything falls on the earth and there's got to be something that makes it fall. His texts were then translated into Arabic and then Latin and made its way across to the West. He also did a lot of mathematics, and in fact, some of the Western equations now attributed to modern people are found in his books. One of them was Bell's equation, which was actually solved in 1150 CE by Pascal. And Bell's equation, I think, is 1600s or 1700s. I'm not exactly sure. So anyway, when his books got translated to Arabic and then Latin, that's how the decimal system, zero, etc., moved westward. Next slide. So what do we talk about when we have ancient Indian texts? If you can imagine that there were 9 million manuscripts that were burned. And we still have millions that have not been translated, but they have been organized. And there's differences on what each of these do. Some of them are technical, some of them are, and since they were oral, most of them are hymns that have been transmitted from person to person and then codified in this. So they're like stories, some of them. So you have not only to interpret what is the knowledge behind each story, because they're on multiple levels. They're just like a story, you substitute the scientific data and you'll come up with the science out of the same hymn. And depending on how good or bad your Sanskrit is, I'm assuming that it could be a good translation or a bad one. So we have the Vedas. The Rig Veda is one of the most quoted one, the Samaveda, Yajurveda, and the Atharva Veda. The Upanishads, the Puranas, the Surya Siddhanta, which is an astronomical text, the Brahmanas, Samhitas, Aranyakas, Sutras, then the timeline of Indian texts, people were, as I said, not sure when they were, but then people said, okay, let's look at the astronomical events that are described in these books, time those and maybe we'll get a sense of when these books were. So there were mentions of the vernal equinox, Revati, Kritika, these are the Indian names for some of the stars. Kritika is Pleiades. And so people have used different ways of trying to figure out what these data points are and how to get the times for these. Next slide. Okay. So this is just an overview. So I thought, okay, let's see, last month we heard of the Native American viewpoint of how the universe originated. So I thought, okay, let's look at the Indian one. I found out there's multiple viewpoints. It's not just one. So one of the articles that I read said they were so open to ideas for something that no one had witnessed that they said, who knows what is right and who knows what's wrong, but here we are. So the most common though, that even to this day that you'll hear people say, is we do have a trinity, which is Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. And in other texts, they even have, we're fair to women too, there's the goddess who creates the universe as well. And Parvati actually is the consort of Shiva. So one of the theories is that the cosmic egg, which is the golden womb, Hiranyagarbha, from which arises the universe. And this egg is swimming in the ocean of the universe. Then either breaks open, or there are different theories of how even this golden womb gives rise to the universe. And that itself can take up half an hour. But eventually, all the different sources believe that the universe is cyclical. There is a beginning and there's an end. And this is timeless, time is eternal, and this repeats. And Brahma now, one of the theories that I'm going to talk about is the Brahmand, which is the universe, and Brahma, the creator, and how he creates the universe. But there are also mentions of creation from a single source, and that there was sound associated with that. But if you look at the Puranas, they talk about in the causal ocean, there are innumerable Brahmas rising and disappearing like bubbles. So they believed in a multiverse. And everything exists at all times, everywhere. So creation from Brahma. Again, here there are several variations. Who is Brahma? What is the Brahmand? The Brahmand encompasses, so different, in Sanskrit, the same word, depending on the root, the verb, the noun, can have different meanings. So here we have Brahma, which is the person, Brahmand is the universe. So several variations that he grew from Lord Vishnu's navel, but where did Lord Vishnu come from? And, he was sitting on it and he separated the flower into the earth, sky, and the heavens. Or the other is where he split himself into male and female form, and from these all beings came into existence. Purusha is another concept, and he is omnipresent, omnipotent, and has multiple forms. And again, he is the source of all creation. The hymns also say that chaos preceded creation. There was neither being or non-being. So there's a lot of philosophical thought that goes into all the creation myths or theories. There's also descriptions of the chemical earth with its chemical concentration was spread out in the primordial hydrosphere. So they believe in the ocean and then chemical composition. And there are verses that describe how each level lead to different evolutionary forms of creatures. So as I said, it's cyclical, time is considered eternal. And then they even had names for these cycles. And they didn't think in hundreds of years or even tens of thousands, they thought in trillions of years. So they start off with the basic human year, which means nothing in this time scale. Then they added that to what is called the life of Brahma, which is 100 years. Again, it's not 100 solar years. And each life of Brahma is called the Mahakalpa. Now, if you have 100 years of the life, you have a day. So the next slide is a day of Brahma is called the Kalpa. Next slide, John. So a day is 24 hours, 12 hours of Brahma's life is his day, which is 4.32 billion solar years. A night is equal 4.32 billion solar years. So a day of Brahma is 8.64 billion solar years. So what happens in all these billions of years? Each of these years are further divided, each of these, again, kalpa is further divided into 1,000 smaller segments. And each of these 1,000 segments, so each one segment is called a Chatur Yuga. Chatur is 4. So there are 4 eons in each of these. And they're divided in a ratio of 4:3:2:1, if you spread out the time. And they're called Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. As you can see, Kali Yuga, which is the worst of them all, started in 3102 BC. And they even timed it down to February of that year. So, now, and it's going to last for 4,332,000 years. So we are just in the infant phases of this. So their concept of these 4 divisions was the world is the best in Satya Yuga. Satya can be truth or a good. And, each one has declining spiritual and goodness, and Kali Yuga is the worst. So there'll be more war, famine, drought, etc. as we go further down this. This is followed by destruction. And destruction is the next 12 hours, which is pralaya, which also lasts for 4.32 billion solar years. Then it talks of a month, which is, only 259.2 billion years. And then you go to a year, which is 3.11 trillion years. And I mean, these are astronomical numbers, but they apparently imagined all of this. And we are currently on the first day of in the first month of the 51st year of Brahma's current 100 years, because he too dies and then is reborn. So if you look at Pralaya, which is in the day of life of Brahma, and then the Mahapralaya, which is the end of his 100-year of dissolution, there's some differences, and I actually wasn't exactly sure myself what is the difference between one or the other, because if there's dissolution of the universe in that, what exactly is the difference? So there are levels of the universe, and each one of them depends on how many levels are destroyed. Then there's also a description of how the world can be destroyed. So we come to one of the common ones, the flood, which we've all heard about in various civilizations across the world. And then it says the whole world is encompassed by water. The next one is then fire that destroys the world with elemental dissolution. Then Agni, which is fire, consumes Akash, which is the sky and the heavens. At that time, it's only sound, and I believe Vayu should be wind that permeate throughout. And this continues till darkness takes over the universe. And so not only did they have all these theories, but they also questioned their own theories. And so this hymn I found was, in multiple references that when you read about creation, they always put this hymn. And there's a little variation in translation sometimes, but overall it basically says, there was neither non-existence nor existence then, neither the realm of space nor the sky which is beyond. What stirred? Where? In whose protection? There was neither death nor immortality then, no distinguishing sign of night nor day. That one breathed, windless by its own impulse. Other than that, there was nothing beyond. Darkness there was at first, by darkness hidden. Without distinctive marks, this all was water. That which becoming by the void was covered, that one by force of heat came into being. Who really knows? Who will here proclaim it? Whence was it produced? Whence is this creation? Gods came afterwards with the creation of this universe. Who then knows whence it all has arisen? Whether gods were created it or whether he was mute. Perhaps it formed itself, or perhaps it did not. Only he who is it overseer in highest heaven knows. Only he knows, or perhaps he does not know. So, they were open to who knows. We are just thinking about this, but no one really knows. And so that's why they were open to all these different ideas about creation. So I decided that was enough about cosmology. The more I read about it, I thought I need 10 years to figure out what they were saying. So I thought I'd switch to something simpler, just the calendar that we all use. We use a lunar calendar in India, and even now I have a calendar hanging in my home, which is in Marathi, which is the language I speak. And it is a lunar calendar, and it tells me according to the full moon, the new moon, when we celebrate Hindu festivals, which are not the Gregorian calendar, they depend on this. So it is a lunisolar calendar based on a geocentric observation model. And that's not easy either because it takes into consideration synodic, sidereal, and tropical elements. So it calculates all of these and then puts it in one calendar. And the simplest is that the celestial sphere was divided into 27 nakshatras, which would be the equivalent of a constellation or an asterism, or in some cases, just a star. This was along the ecliptic and it followed the lunar cycle. And that little diagram is basically what sidereal means. So that's time measured against a fixed star versus a solar day. So initially there were 28 nakshatras, but afterwards it's 27, but roughly they are about 13 degrees of the ecliptic. Now to make up for the discrepancy, because the lunar cycle and the solar cycle don't really match if you add this all up, they decided, well, we've got to make this come together. So they added an intercalary month every 32 to 33 months. And this is called an Adhik Masa. Adhik is extra. And then they decided over centuries, this doesn't really still come together. So every few century on a 19, I think it is 19, I don't want to misquote. They decided, well, over longer periods, we need to drop a month to make this all come together. And they had tables for this. So they had figured this all out. I mean, timekeeping was really important and very, very complicated. Just reading how they did this gave me a headache. So I decided, okay, this is not as easy as I thought it was. So I'm going to skip this as well. So this is what I was alluding to. So I actually decided, well, let me try something different. Let's just do constellations. That didn't go very well either. So I figured this is the best explanation for my lack of knowledge. So according to this particular article, currently there are only of the astronomical and mathematical texts that they know of, 9,000 source texts have been they know about. Out of that, only 450 have been translated. This represents 5% of the available texts. And of those, only 96 have been seriously studied to bring out the technical content. So this is a minuscule amount, and this is what we know. They talk about a lot of texts being in private collections, in temples, just held by some family because this was what was passed on to them by their ancestors. And, there was actually a recent article about in India where this particular village worshiped these stones as gods. Someone happened to find this village, try to figure out what these stones were. They were actually fossilized dinosaur eggs. And that was just recently in the news. So here you have people reverent of things that they don't know they have with them.
Sounds like Indiana Jones.
It was based on
There
it.
you go.
It was based on it.
Okay. Okay, so for time, they had different, as I mentioned, different scales of time, then they had different definitions of time. The most common with the solar day was considered sunrise to sunrise, and the lunar day was tithi based on lunar movement, which they calculated. And so you have a whole set of different times that, even though I have a calendar, I don't look at. And they've defined what tithi is depending upon where the moon is in its cycle around the sun. Now, they were also aware of the precession of the poles, because if you go back to some of the literature, and here is at that time, Thuban was the pole star. That puts it around 31, close to what they said Kali Yuga starts, and that's how they dated that. Some of this literature is really that old, because these people describe it like it's today. They don't talk about it like it happened. And so this excerpt is from the Taittiriya Aranyaka. And it talks about Pishumara, which is actually Draco, which is the great lizard. And it says, listen to this explanation of mine, which is real and observable, but mystifying people. He who is at the tail of the 14 stars, looking like a Shishmara, Dhruva, the son of Uttanapada, has become the main pivot of the pole in the sky. Verily, he rotates the sun, the moon, and the planets continuously. The stars follow him, who is himself circling like a wheel. So Dhruva means fixed. At that time, Alpha Draconis, which is Tuban, was recognized as the North Star, and that is in 3200 BC. And you know they knew this was changing because later there's a hymn that King Bhattata asks a sage why Dhruva drifts. If he's supposed to be fixed, why is he drifting? And so basically the question that he asked was in 1900 BC. Now, it's fun playing with Stellarium when you have these things and you plug it into Stellarium and it is beautiful to see it in real time. So I use these dates to try and say, okay, what does this say? Unfortunately, the web version does not work. It only goes back to, I think, 1100 or something, and then it cycles back. But if you have Stellarium on your desktop, throw in these dates, and it's fun to watch as you move the months and the years, how Tuban moves to the side and Polaris comes into play.
So they were all just observing.
Yeah, this is all observational astronomy.
Yeah, this is well before Galileo.
Oh, this is well before. We're talking 3000 BC. We're not even doing CE yet. So next slide. So I took screenshots when I figured out that I couldn't use the web-based version to show you this. This is actually, if you go into Stellarium, there's an option where there's star lore and you can put in ancient Indian. And that's why this is not named a lot. But basically, so the little circle in the middle is Tutan. And that, as you can see, is on the northern meridian. And if you look at I think I did change that, it doesn't show the location. I just picked a point where the Indus Valley civilization was, and this is the sky as seen by them. And Dhruva, which is in the this is Dhruva, which is Polaris as we know it. And this is Tuban. And it's so faint here that I can't really see the rest of the constellations. This is the Big Dipper. Oops, sorry. This is, I think, the next slide with the Western stars. This is Ursa Minor with Polaris. This is still Tuban. This is Draco, and this is the tail. And here you have the Big Dipper. And this, as you can see, was down here in 3133 BC and in the month of July at 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Let me just take that.
Obviously, wasn't any light pollution back then.
No. This slide talks about Pleiades, which is known as Kritika. And this was rising in the east in what year is this now? I can't.
3226
Yeah.
minus.
Yes, so still BC. And as you can see, this is east. And they talked about this, they gave it some importance, so people were wondering, why is this important? So some of this is what is called a heliacal rising at the equinoxes. So heliacal rising is when you can see a particular thing rise before dawn. And if you look at this, this is now in 3012 BC. The equinox, we consider it in March, but I had to go to April to see that, the Pleiades was rising before sunrise in the east at that time. And this is, of course, Aries, which we, consider. I think these are just a couple of other slides showing that if you move it further down to this is 5000 BC, it's not exactly in the east. So this sort of gives you a timeline of the Pleiades was rising before the sun between this period and, that period. And Saptarishi, which we all know as the Big Dipper, is of course still visible from this particular latitude. And these were the 7 stars. They are rishis, or the wise sages. And they also have different eras, and according to that, I think the names change too. So I have not paid given particular emphasis on that. But they knew that Alcor and Mizar were a double star, and it was a married pair called Vashishta, which was the sage, and his wife Arundhati. And that's what they had named that.
So they had, I mean, what we call the Big Dipper today, they had a constellation with the same stars,
Yeah, and it was called the Saptarishi, which
Yeah.
is 7.
but it was the same stars.
Same
They
stars.
had the same image in mind, different
Yes.
name.
Even the Aboriginal people in Australia, they had their own, the Pleiades, they called it the Seven Sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
some
it
of
was
these are
wild,
easily recognizable all across the globe. And so each culture had their own names, but the rest of the asterisms, they kind of, were different.
Yep.
But they had a name for Aldebaran, which was Rohini. They had a name for Regulus. Some of the most common bright stars, they all have Indian version names. And when you do that star lore and change it, those names will show up.
Be interesting to take the like -5,000 BC to today, overlay the Big Dipper
Right.
on top of it to see how much stellar
there has
drift has
been,
happened. Yeah. Next slide.
Yes. And these are just a few of the references that I put in there that I used. And I think that sort of sums it up because I didn't have more time.
Yeah, how many hours did you spend on this?
Way too many. Not enough.
The question was how many hours?
How many rabbit holes?
Yeah, a lot.
Like I said, way too many and still not enough.
Yeah, very well done.
Yes.
Very fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Early in your talk, you were talking about how a lot of Western people said the Indians couldn't possibly know all this stuff and anything like that. And what that reminded me of was a math course I took at UNO about 10 years ago. And it was basically an historical math course, and they got into different cultures and what they knew about in math in this same era that you talk about. And it's very interesting to find out that, yeah, Western civilization didn't invent mathematics in the 1700s.
No.
The Chinese were doing stuff 5,000 years before Christ, and there are other cultures that are doing things too. And it's just very interesting, and that made me think of the
So
same.
there's a podcast I listened to about the history of mathematics, and that's through the BBC website. And that goes into a lot of details. They even talk about these people knew equations that, the Pythagoras theorem attributed to Pythagoras was well known by the ancient Indians. They used it practically for temple building, which was a big thing. Temples in India are built to a precise science. You have to measure how much each section is, they're built according to different measurements. And for that, you have to know a lot of math. And they knew this theorem and used it practically, but no one said, I discovered this. They just used it.
Wow.
I have, yeah.
But I had read that they had used different tones to singing to move some of them, to vibrate some of the. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are different temples, which have different pillars that vibrate to different frequencies of sound. And this is all built in stone or metal. And there's a lot of other things where they have temples that have been built where the sun hits it at different windows on the temple at noon, 2, 4, and 6 p.m. There are temples to represent the day as the spokes of a wheel, and they can be used as sundials and go down to, minute. They had even split each second into more than, I think, 1,000th of a second, just as something to do mathematically. So it was astounding. This was a lot of discovery for myself as to the knowledge that I didn't know, or reading one thing led to another. And it's just, it was very, very interesting.
Sense of pride
The
too.
the second question was, you were talking about your calendar that you have at home. Did you find out which constellation that calendar is going by?
It's the lunisolar, so it's based on the sun and the moon. It's not a constellation.
Ah,
Yeah, so it depends on the position of the moon and the sun and trying to fit that into, the day-to-day calendar that we all use, the Gregorian calendar, or I think it's a Julian that we use. So the present day calendar that we all use for day-to-day. So overlapped on that is the whole Indian calendar, which tells you what the tithi is, where the moon is, what day is it, waning, waxing, when is the new moon, and things like that.
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you. Anything?
Can you put your
Online,
slides
Carla
on Discord?
is glad that you gave this presentation. She learned so much and she says, feel free to give more presentations.
Sure. Since I've just tapped into this after 3 months, I might have another small topic.
Rabbit hole.
Down another rabbit hole.
There will be a test.
Yeah, there'll be a test on all of the figures that were mentioned in billions of years. And try to remember, and some math questions at the end of it all.
Yes, 11 trillion years.
Note up there from Jordan too.
So, yeah. Jordan
Well,
said
thank
you're
you.
incredible and love the information.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes. You need to stretch?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I guess you can all stand up.
Like, there's a lot of, well, there were no pictures, talk, nothing.
Your mom now.
She was only 6 when she had him. She don't look.
I know. My mom, I'm like, wow. I know they use this.
Hey, harder.
Your name's the.
Really actually. Oh, no.
Microphone on. Check 1, 2. Sibilance. Thank you. Okay, let's run through this business meeting as well we can. So, minutes were done last month. They are printed in the Stella. Did anybody have any, things that they want to discuss with the minutes?
Sure, they're just fun.
There, it's like accepting an end user license agreement. You just kind of scroll down to the end.
Yeah, the end.
And then,
It's as printed in the Stella.
okay,
Second it.
so Nina and Tom
Let's just move this
Wilson. The motions have made and seconded to accept the minutes as they are in the Stella. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You got it.
Thank you. I need to go back to my other slides here. And we go to the treasurer's report.
You're welcome to mention that.
I'm welcome to mention it? Okay. We've got only a couple entries. Income was 284.76 for dues.
Yes.
Expenditures, we renewed the domain name and the email addresses, so that was 8317. I'm gonna have to add another email address for librarians, so I'll add that in for next month. So the account balance at the end of the month was 15,738.24. Vice President report, Steve filed it before he had to run. He's not been able to get down there. We will use what Cassie had mentioned earlier, so sounds like it's in pretty good shape. They were able to use it this month, so that's good. Just a reminder that there is a logbook, so if people want to use the logbook, they can. Here's all the old business from the previous months. Prairie Stem's still out there. The Miserable Committee still meets on the third Saturday of the month. We're probably gonna be virtual for the next couple months until we get closer. We actually met 3 times in January. You'll be happy to know that, we set registration live the other night. So, I need to get the mail-in form, like you can download and print and mail in. That testing was finished earlier tonight, so I need to put that on the website. And this weekend, I am going to put it on the Nisro groups.io list. So it's gonna be, some fun things. Around, Misrule itself, the lodge at Mahoney State Park is where we're going to meet. Unfortunately, for our out-of-town folks, none of the rooms at the lodge will be available during the month of June because of renovations.
Oh.
They're only going to open them for a short period in July and just a little bit of August, and they're gonna close it again for more renovations.
Oh, my word. Wow.
So,
Everybody has to travel in then.
yeah, I mean, for us locally, we're kind of okay. We've done a lot of outreach events at Mahoney. We are very familiar with that. Our out of town folks, one of the closest places is, the Red Lion Inn and Suites at the Nebraska Crossing, followed by the Holiday Inn Express. Both those are within 12 to 14 minutes of Mahoney, so it's not. And it's not like they have to go through town and take several turns to get somewhere. It's just get on the interstate, get off the interstate, and you're there. So I think that'll be well done. Speakers are pretty much almost firmed up, even including the keynote speaker. I think you'll be kind of excited for that. I would like to say, if you have time and want to help out with Misrule, please come see me. There's only a handful of us and we need more people to help us with this project. So if you can help, please help. We've got the registrations done, we've got the website done, we've got all the rooms get ready. There are some things that we still kind of need to button up. Food's already decided, so a lot of the heavy lifting is done. There's still a few more other things that we need to kind of get straightened out for that. Any questions on the Misrule status so far? Anyone? Okay.
How many people do you think will be there?
50 to 60 is the estimate.
Oh, okay.
We had over 80 last time.
Yeah. It varies.
Yeah.
So as long as, you know, where it's held is the predominant, is like the local club, they usually have the most people show, right? And we're kind of lucky because we also have the Prairie Astronomy Club in Lincoln, who's very nearby. So that also helps our numbers. And they can easily drive home too, because it's right in the middle between Omaha and Lincoln. And we've even got some folks from Platte Valley, I think, who are interested in coming. There are people from, so our region is called Misrule, right? Mid-States Region of the Astronomical League. There are representatives from the North Central, NICRL, they're coming. So they're from Illinois, Iowa area. So they're planning to come to the conference. We've even reached out to folks in the southern part of Oklahoma and invited them. So the weird thing about Misrule is only the northern part of Oklahoma is part of our region. The southern portion of Oklahoma is not. I think that's mostly like the Okie-Tex folks in that area. So there's our folks have been reaching out and inviting them as well. So we'll see how many people show up. It would be nice to have, 65 to 70 or 80. That would certainly help us. Because we have to budget the food. And the more people we have, the better that gets, right? Because that's kind of where we make up some things. Yeah.
Is Stillwater, Oklahoma part of Misrule? That's where astronomics is.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Are they showing up?
I've not reached out. Would you like to reach out?
I don't know.
I don't know. I need somebody to reach out for vendors. The Astronomics is in.
We have coming.
Hmm?
Yeah, Astronomics is in Norman, Oklahoma.
There you go. If you can get them, that'd be one.
Might be worth reaching out to them about,
It's, I mean, you gotta think about the distance involved. Are they gonna drive that far? Cause like Tulsa, it was pretty close last year, so they could get someone easily from there. For here, from Tulsa, it's like 7 hours.
Yeah.
If you're driving.
So
And if the folks are coming from Arkansas, it's gonna be even farther.
So how many states is this that we encompass?
Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, so
4
4.25. Do I still have the,
I'm trying to pull up a map.
well, it's part of the logo, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
Got it.
yeah, it's just like the sliver part of the top.
So kind of like Les Mia's rules, huh?
Like the panhandle. You take the panhandle and just go,
Just a little bit further.
yes.
Makes it look like a shallow pan.
So hopefully, in the terms of number 3, we have a work day coming up on the 13th of April. So that might happen for doing some of that work. The member schedule on the website, I have some more ideas on that. That might change a little bit because I have some more ideas on how to make the online membership sign up easier. Because right now you essentially just click on a button for PayPal and it fills everything out. It doesn't necessarily have all the information we need from PayPal. So we're gonna try to make that a little bit different. To make it easier for people. Because when Mike gets an entry from PayPal, he then has to email them and ask them for more information that PayPal is not giving us. So
We tried to fix it, but it was.
we spent some time on it. It did not exactly go.
Wow, I
As
think
it
it
might.
used to, because I never had trouble with it. But we were at the very beginning and I only had. a
Yeah,
couple-
it's,
couple
there's
months.
no, it doesn't ask for a phone number.
Huh.
Well, it's got somebody else down as the person that, is, it's not me. But
We tried to get it switched.
And it was not me, someone else managed that because it.
Might have been
PayPal was
Jeff
beyond
used it.
my
still
capability.
is.
I didn't know it was through into the
Yeah,
email.
so-
I didn't know.
He got that
I was like,
information.
well, that's
Quick, any any movement on the storage yet?
Right.
For
Somebody else does it.
telescopes, other than what we discussed last month?
Not really, no.
Okay. One of the last things from the last time we discussed was moving meeting dates for the summer. And if you saw the Stella for this month, you will see that those dates have been set for the summer. So, part of getting that in the Stella was I also had to work with UNO for all those dates. So I gave them like, here's the dates for the rest of the year. So those are now set, so we're gonna be good.
So the doors should have remained open. Should have.
Should have. Now, I did the signature Wednesday. So if you don't know, Planetarium and Physics Department, they sponsor us to use the facilities at UNO, right? We have to sign a contract agreement with UNO reservations, is that right?
Yeah.
And it's essentially like, you're not, it's just coverage for things if there's a problem. We have to have a certain amount of insurance to cover that. That's all taken care of. We have to provide, a copy of the certificate of insurance. And I have to sign it, so if there's anybody's name, it's mine. But this time, it went really smooth. It was not like the
I
weeks
think
long
we were
thing.
making it up last time as it went, honestly. It was one of those things, they finally realized what we were doing, and so they wanted all this other paperwork that I had no clue about.
Yeah.
Cause it used to be linked with the planetarium shows, so I had the doors open for that already.
Yeah.
And then they changed the door schedules on us. So I had to like, okay, we better officially request this so that the doors remain open.
But the document is stored, Mike has a copy of the document, I have a copy of the document, so if anybody wants to see the document, we can let you read it, it is many, many pages long. So,
I have a digital copy of it too.
yeah.
We'll trust you on that.
Yeah.
Astor Park, we talked about this last month, right? About the fence? Briefly, right,
Exactly.
we wanna work on it. That's,
Is that an April
Sounds
13th
good.
fence, or I mean, last time we talked about it, it was just the concept of a fence.
Yeah.
Concept.
You know,
yes,
is there
I think that,
an actionable item there?
I think that, we need to reach out to the owner of the land, which I looked up to the,
Okay.
surveyor's website or the assessor's website. And I put that in the, board meeting channel on Discord. And I forgot to ask Steve, but I will get with him and ask him. To like, write a letter, tell them, hey, we're gonna be doing some things.
So my understanding is he has not gotten back with the club on multiple occasions. So are you gonna do like a certified letter that basically says, look, we tried to contact you?
The owner of the land?
Yeah, has he not responded before? I thought there was issues about,
I thought that was the farmer.
The farmer that farms.
The farmer and the owner are two different.
Okay.
The owner is different.
I don't think we've reached out to the owner.
No, we haven't reached out. I just looked it up like a week or two ago.
Honestly, too, it's basically just being polite.
Yeah,
As long
it's
as the
like,
fence is on
hey,
our
we're gonna try to
land,
put
they
the
have no
fence
right
on,
to say anything about
we're
it.
trying to reestablish the fence that used to be there.
Mhm.
Because, you know, cow patties.
Mhm.
It's an easier way to say it. I mean, I could say excrement, but
No.
I'm trying to use Midwest vernacular.
Manure.
so you're basically putting up a barbed wire fence? Is that what you're?
Exactly.
That's the thought, yeah.
We'll go down, Bill.
And really, if we were to start anything, I would do the corner first, which had the post.
Yeah.
And then start to move the fence down. Cause with
Better
the
do
posts
that.
in, you can't really take them out easily.
But we better do that soon because he pulled the post, 15 years ago. It was still there 15 years ago in that corner. George
15
showed it to
Is
me.
it like an 8-foot post?
It was an axle from,
It's like some of the bases around.
just an axle.
Okay,
Yeah, George showed it to me.
Yeah, he's gonna be planting pretty soon.
Yeah.
yeah.
Farmer, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At minimum, if you put up some T-posts.
But if he plants on our property, that corn belongs to us.
Yeah, it could be soybeans this year again.
Or whatever.
It's okay, we can make.
Yeah, he does encroach on that corner that's ours.
Yeah.
But at minimum, putting up some T-posts would give the farmer an indication of we care.
Yes.
Even if there's no
And
barbed
if
wire.
we spray paint and put flags.
Yeah.
That'll make it even more apparent.
Maybe that's something to put down for the workday.
It may be too late.
We might,
Oh, yeah, maybe.
probably something that do in March. I need the ground not to be frozen.
Yeah.
Right, needs to be soft. Well, it's not frozen now.
No, yeah, I mean, oddly, the weather is kind of nice right now. Unfortunately, my Saturdays in the next few weeks are really full.
And do we have I know we've got historical recollections. Is there a written?
Oh, yeah.
We had a
document somewhere?
brand new survey done last spring.
Okay, and something that's visible or something that's written? In other words, are we gonna be able to mark this back out?
It should be marked when
The
they do
new
a
pins
survey.
were also put in
They put new stakes in, pegs.
for the lines.
Pins are hard to find. I tried doing it at my son's house. They're very
These-
hard to find.
These should be 8-foot ones. That's what they went to 3 years ago.
Okay, big, heavy.
And they should be sticking out a foot.
Okay.
They don't drive them all the way to the ground.
No, they're underground.
No, I didn't see
No, they're
it.
down about.
They're not supposed to be in the farm field.
They are down underground in the farm field.
Yeah. Cause Mike went out and looked.
I know where they are, you know, cause I measured where the stake was before, stake's probably gone. But I did.
It was
I did
taken
go to the
down
spot.
as soon as he went through and graded. Cause I remember
I know how
seeing
many feet
it.
it is from a certain corner.
Okay. I've got like 100-foot tape measure too, so,
So do I.
well, sounds like a fun Saturday afternoon. You wanna pick a date?
What?
No. Just to go and start marking some stuff out with some spray paint and some posts.
Yeah.
Let's see,
You
March,
do know no matter what we pick, it's gonna be shitty that day.
let's see,
That's-
second is the first.
They'll do it all, you know, shitty together.
Yeah.
So I would recommend if you just are randomly picking something, not the second, because that's the day after the first. I mean, the first Friday.
Yeah.
So we have this meeting tonight and then everybody show up tomorrow.
You saying yes or no?
I would not do that.
Okay,
That's my opinion.
all right.
But so the 9th would be the next Saturday, so the second, which is after the first Friday,
March. Am I in the right
Talking
year?
about March.
March 24th. Yeah, March 2024.
Thank you. That's better. I'd rather not,
Sunday.
Okay, he's in March.
that's, so you're the 23rd then. That's a Saturday.
For March, yes.
For
Yes.
March.
9th, 16th, 23rd. Next week.
Mhm.
The 23rd, let's see, you're not screwing with Easter there yet.
And I don't have Misrule, so.
I'm just explaining.
So I mean, I would just, again, the second, if people think the second is great, but I would start with the 9th if it's warm and then push off to the 16th or, whatever you gotta do based on the weather. I mean, we could have a foot of snow again.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially in March.
So do we want to
Do
try
you
something?
set the
right?
9th and the 23rd for, in case the 9th is crappy?
I won't be able to make the 9th.
Well, then how about the 16th and 23rd?
That's the third.
9th is almost New Year.
16th is Misrule.
March. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's we meet virtually and then drive down and then, I might be back in town on the 16th.
Then there's President's Day sometime. I'm trying to find it.
No, that's in February.
Oh, you're right. I'm retired now, so I miss all these, so.
The big paper comes on Sunday.
Misrule President's Day, what?
Just for you.
I'm gonna say the 23rd. If
Of
that-
March.
Yes, please.
And a pushing this shove, could we do it maybe April 6th or something like that?
Yeah,
It'd be the day after our meeting.
Sixth. April 6th.
April 6th.
that's right before the solar eclipse.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
Well, we can just say that and then I don't know what those T-posts cost.
They're next to nothing.
Are they?
Yeah, you just get the heavy duty ones. And the longer ones, depending on.
Yeah, you want longer ones.
And then I've got a post hammer already, if you guys. Even if I can't attend for some reason, you're welcome to use my post hammer.
5.5. 6.5.
Might be double mine.
6.5, I'd say.
It'd be easier because it's softer ground first and you can get them
Yeah.
down farther than driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
They only weigh that.
Those 8-foot pins.
Good.
Are they still in the ground?
Well,
Good, you can use it.
I don't know why they say 1.25 pounds. They weigh a lot more than that.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't make sense.
Might be per foot or something.
Is that the gauge of the post?
Oh,
Be measured in pounds.
that's possible.
anyways, coming from a place like Baumgard's or Tractor Supply, you're gonna have the heavier duty ones.
Yeah.
And when we do purchase them, we want the big heavy ones, not the,
Mhm. We have a bunch of the flimsy ones. The kind that you do for like electric fence.
Yeah, we don't want.
Yeah, you want T-post, not U-post.
yeah, what happened in the good ones we had.
Okay. Let me make a note of that.
There should have been, I brought 25 down there one time. Might go down next weekend.
Okay. Is there any other items to discuss?
So the decision was the 23rd of March is our primary date at this point? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, the secondary would be the workday anyway, so.
Yep.
Secondary would be 13th.
I'm all for ending and just having.
Motion closed. Second.
Bill and then Tom.
Any discussion?
Bill
That's great.
Bond. Tom Wilson.
Lightning strike or what?
We know how
Real life.
A motion is made and seconded to adjourn the business meeting. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
I'm so shocked.
Thank you.
Still shocked.
That was like, I love, it was a good meeting tonight. Lots of cool stuff.
And we have
Little
10
bit.
minutes.
We got 10 minutes, that's true.
Was drawing, she actually has a palm where she's like drawing. Yeah, actually.